When I am very first teaching a dog to come, I am very careful about when I call them. You want to make sure the distractions are as minimal as possible. So I'll start out really slow, which means I'll basically have them running around playing, and if I see them coming towards me anyways, I'll call them and I'll encourage them to keep coming towards me. So I'll make sure that I can enforce what I'm saying, so if they've got to be within the vicinity to where I can make sure that that dog is going to listen. Now, as I teach that dog to come, I also do that with like a game of fetch. Fetch is a great way to teach a dog to come, because you throw the ball. If they already know fetch, then you start adding the command like come here when they're already coming to you anyways. After they've started to show an understanding of what the come command means, then I make it a little bit harder. So today I was adding another level of distraction to CUSE for the come command. I took him with me off leash on the farm, and I waited until there was something in the woods that he was investigating, that he thought was interesting, and that he was running towards. And then I would call him to me. And this was an initial step of trying to see how good he had developed his recall, and he actually caught me off guard. He was very responsive in a level that I did not expect him to be ready for. I had an electric collar on him just in case, so if he was not absolutely listening and I needed to get him back to me, I had that collar on so that I could make sure I maintained control, and I was able to reinforce if I were to ask him to come and he didn't listen. However, I did not have to use anything on that collar. Not the sound signal or the vibrate or anything. I didn't have to use it a single time during his training today, which was very exciting for me. It was even more exciting for me when later on in the farm, I took him down to the cow's pasture, and this is around where the chickens are, but not quite there. When we went to the pasture, though, I found that there were two of my chickens that were loose, which means that they are in the same area as CUSE was. And generally, CUSE in the past has shown an uncomfortable interest in the chickens before, a lot of interest when he sees one. So when I took him to see the chickens, I saw that there were two out. I intentionally brought him over there to see if I can get him to come regardless of whether or not the chickens were there. And I totally expected him to chase those chickens. I totally expected to have to use the collar, at least the vibrate mode, to get him to listen to me, and he was amazing. I didn't have to correct him at all. I call him and he comes right to me. He didn't even try to go after the chickens, which really surprised me. It was actually the first time that I have allowed him to be in the same area as the chickens. Usually they're always behind a fence. This is the first time he's not had a fence between him and the chickens, and he passed with flying colors. So it was really fun to bring him on the farm. I really enjoyed calling him and not having him he just came right away. So when he started showing consistency with his come command, I was using the voice integration, where I had the owner's voice and I was using their voice to call him to me as well as my own, so that he can start responding to his owner's voice more consistently. And that makes the trade-off easier when it's time for him to go to his forever family. So we played on the farm, and then I followed up at the end of our session with a few minutes of leash work. He's really good with not pulling on the leash, but getting him to sit when you stop walking is something that he has a lot of room for improvement. So I'm going to be consistently reminding him and working with him, but it's also very important to mix up your training, so you're not just doing the same thing all in one day. You have to keep the mood light. So you have a few minutes of strict training, and then the rest of it needs to be play and interacting. So he did really well today with his off-leash work. You can see how happy he is. I love to see that.